I have a box. So, as I've mentioned before on this channel, I have a cousin who lives in Japan with his wife and their 2 daughters. My cousin's wife is originally from Japan. She's of Japanese descent. Their daughters are half Japanese. And they live over there right now because the company that my cousin works for has him stationed there for a little bit more for the rest of this year. Than I think they're supposed to be back at the beginning of next year. They've been there for several years now, and they very much enjoy it. And my cousin's wife enjoys being able to go and see her family a lot more easily, since they're, in the same country now, as opposed to living here in the United States, where it's a lot harder to try to set that up. And when Baskin Robbins announced that they were going to be doing this One Piece collab, first of all, my brain went to, well, even if they did the collab in the United States, I highly doubt they'd do it in the middle of Nebraska, in like Omaha or something like that, because Omaha is like the closest Baskin Robbins to where I am, because there's not one in Lincoln. I'd be like, well, even if they did one here in the United States, it wouldn't be here in Nebraska, unfortunately. Most likely it'd be either in New York or LA or, San Francisco, those areas with, huge major, population centers. I mean, Omaha is the largest city in Nebraska, but still, you get the idea. Omaha is quite the hub at times. But I'm like, well, it's not going to happen that way. And it's just like, well, it's not going to be in the U.S. anyway. It's only going to be in Japan for the One Piece Baskin Robbins collab. And I'm like, yeah, I figured. And then I'm like, well, I have a cousin. So, after some finagling and getting his number from his mother, from my aunt, I texted him and asked him just, hey, there's a One Piece event going on in Japan right now, and I was wondering if you could help me get my hands on some of the stuff. And he's like, well, that depends on like what the event is, because I'm not going to say specifically where they live, because I'm not going to give off that information. And I'm not going to say their names in the video, just because for their own privacy's sake, my cousin requested me not to do that, which I will abide by. He's like, well, the area that we live in is very far away from Tokyo or any of the major cities. He kind of equated it to, for a reference for living in the United States, living in like Montana, for like how far away they are from stuff. Like how just like small town type atmosphere that it is for where they live. And I said, well, that's perfectly understandable. His wife's family, his wife has a sister and cousins, and I think at least 1 or 2 of them live in like the Tokyo or a more major city area. So I was kind of like, well, I mean, if anything, you can always kind of try to ask them to go and do this for me. And then send me, the collectible things that I could keep. So I explained to him, it's like, well, it's a Baskin Robbins One Piece collab, and I was wondering if you and your family would be willing to go to Baskin Robbins, depending on either how close it is, or ask someone of, his wife's family to go and then get the stuff, and then I would pay them back for it. I would pay them back the yen that it costs. For it, and which leads into a whole other section of the story. And so he's like, okay, well, there happens to be a Baskin Robbins like not too far from where we live, and they're running the promotion. And I'm like, yes. To be fair, these texts are happening at very odd hours in the day, because Japan is like 14 hours ahead of us in the central time zone. They're like 14 hours ahead of us. So I had to be like, okay, well, I don't want to text them in the middle of the night, because that's really rude, and all of that stuff. So I had to like figure out like, okay, so this time here, they're usually up by this time. So if I text them this time at night here, that should be fine. So I'm not like texting them in the middle of the night. or like super super early or super super late or something like that, because like the girls, my cousin's kids, they're in school, and I don't want to like mess with like accidentally waking them up or anything like that. I know the older daughter, I believe the last time that I saw her, her and I we discussed anime. I don't remember if it was One Piece or My Hero, but we did discuss anime because she was at the age where she was like getting into that stuff. And so I listed off kind of, my cousin asked me, well, what is it that you want specifically? And I'm like, I would like these specific items for like the collectible setups. And they went that next weekend, and then like they sent me the pictures of what they got. There were a couple. I mean, like I had requested specifically them to get the Luffy one, the Luffy Suge pirate double cup, like with the gum fruit like themed ice cream with like the pop rocks in it and everything. I had requested that one, which they got. And then I had requested, or at least they got like the cups that go with it. And then I had also requested the Nami and the Chopper ones. They got me the Nami one. The Chopper one might have been sold out. I'm not sure. I kind of thought one of the girls would like the Chopper one because it's supposed to be, I think, like a cotton candy flavored or something like that, where it's like supposed to be like really sweet and, that type of thing. So I thought maybe one of the girls would like that one instead of, something else that was like, the Luffy one was, I think, supposed to be kind of more on like the sour or bitter side. And obviously I won't be showing any of their faces in these pictures, in any of this video, because they requested me not to. I had double checked with them to see if I could at least blur anything out, and they said, yeah, just don't use our faces. Perfectly fine. And they try to keep a low profile online. They don't even do anything on Facebook anymore, which is how I initially tried to contact him, and that didn't go well. That just didn't result in anything. And then I had requested them to get me the 2 cups that have like the straw hats all along the outside that have like all the crew members on them. And they got me one of them. And then, he's sending me like the list of, okay, so, this is how much it costs. And it was like 3,600 yen total, which I got at one point very early in the morning. And I'm like, my brain doesn't want to compute this. And 3,600 sounds like a very large number, but I know that yen is very different than the American dollar. So I had to like Google how much, like the conversion rate. And it's just like, okay, it's $25. That's fine. Cause that also included like the shipping to get it here, which took a little bit because it required shipping from Japan to Washington, where the company is based out of, and then shipping to me. Or maybe it shipped directly to me. I'm not sure. But then I had to go through the whole process of like, it wasn't being delivered to my house properly. So then I had to go and get it at the post office yesterday. And all of that. So show you what I got. So as I said, they got me the Nami one. I figured Nami, I have to admit it, Nami is probably my favorite Straw Hat, which makes her my favorite character. Not that I don't love the rest of them too, but she's probably just my favorite character in general, in One Piece. And then got me the 2 little decorations with Nami and the little berries that were on the cup. And then the Luffy one, which looks really nice. Obviously, they cleaned these out before they sent them to me. That would be stupid if they didn't. And then I got the little Luffy, little keychain thing that goes with that cup. And then they got me the one that has Luffy, Nami, Sanji, Usopp, and Jinbei. I don't know if maybe they just didn't have certain ones in stock when they went to that Baskin Robbins, because I don't remember how far into the promotion this was. But, whatever. I still got stuff, which is fine. And then one of the other promotions that they were doing with it is cards that go with. You get like a certain number of like mystery cards when you get it, and I got 2 of them that I have not opened yet. I was going to open them on camera, so we'll do that now. Because I didn't want to spoil it. I'm looking at the cards and I'm like, I'd be happy with the majority of these. The only 2 that I really wouldn't care for would be like Borsalino or Teach. And I'm like, with my luck, those will probably be the ones that I get. So I have no idea what I'm going to get. Okay, I got Hancock. That works. I'm not the biggest Hancock fan, but I do like her to a degree. And then, funny if they're both Hancock. That would be funny. That'd be funny. As a Nami Luffy shipper, I would have liked to get Luffy's card and Nami's card. Yep, Borsalino. I knew one of them was going to be one that I didn't care for. So, Borsalino. I'll keep it. It's not my favorite, but I'll keep it anyway. My cousin went through the hassle of getting the stuff for me. And then they sent me just like a nice little pretty card. A nice little letter. So, I haven't seen them for a couple of years since they've been living in Japan for that time frame. But yeah, they're supposed to be back sometime next year. Actually, at the time that I had sent, because, you know, graduations are going on right now, and I have several, a second cousin, my cousin's kids that are graduating from high school right now. And we're going to one later today for a graduation party. And my aunt and uncle that are the parents of the cousin who lives in Japan, they have come up from Oklahoma to come up for the graduation. And last night I had texted my cousin that, okay, I did get the package. And like, we're talking a little bit. And I'm like, and your parents just sat down at the table with us and other aunt and uncle. And we're going to have dinner. And he's like, okay, have fun. And I'm like, sure. Yeah. So yeah, graduation party later today. So I just wanted to get this little bit made here. I'm very grateful to my cousin for getting that stuff for me and sending it to me. I have sent off the money. My mom and I sent them, I think she herself sent them like $100 in yen, which I don't remember what that ended up equating to. And then I sent like the $25 in yen, which was like the 3,600 is what it came out to roughly. So yeah, that's what I have here. Just a fun little video. I'm looking at the cards and I'm like, I like most of these. Probably not Teach or Borsalino, which means at least one of them's probably going to be Teach or Borsalino. And lo and behold, Borsalino. I like Kuzan's powers, but just like everything that happened in the Egghead arc, I'm like, dude, develop a backbone. I get that you're a Logia and that you're light, but develop a backbone. Type of a thing. Yeah, he helped Luffy by zipping him food, but not exactly the same thing as, like, I don't know, maybe stand up against the giant evil devil spider thing. That would be helpful. Okay, that's what we have here. I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye!